So today I want to share a few of my most important memories from Christmases past, and there are three big memories that stand out in my mind. The first one was when I was a little boy, and this has to do with the excitement of waiting for Santa to come. And one year, when I was a little boy, I slept in the bedroom with my brother. I was determined that was the year that I was going to stay awake and see Santa Claus. And so I announced my intention to my parents. And when I went to bed that night, I lay down in bed and I was going to stay awake until I heard the reindeer paws hit the roof. And I stayed awake for a very long time. And at one point, my mother came to the door and she said, "Are you still awake?" And I said, "Yes, I'm still awake. I'm waiting for Santa Claus." And I was so excited, I thought, I'm going to see him this year. And so I stayed awake even longer, and much later in the evening, my mother returned to the door and she said, "Are you still awake?" And I said, "Yes, I'm still awake." And she said, "If you don't go to sleep, Santa might not come." And I remember thinking, oh, and so I decided perhaps it was best that I did fall asleep. And I'm grateful I did, because when I woke up the next morning, Santa indeed had come. So that's one of my earliest Christmas memories, and I know a lot of our children are excited about Santa coming, so I tell that memory mainly for you. The second memory that I have, and this is a recurring memory on Christmases, so if the first memory I would classify it as kind of the fun of Christmas, that's the first F. The second one I would call the family part of Christmas. And every year, Christmas Day, we would go to my grandmother's house, my Italian grandmother, and she would make her homemade Italian ravioli and meatballs and Italian sausage, and we would sit at her dining room table, and she would bring out the fine china, and there would be wine glasses for the adults. And I will never forget the joy of being together with my grandparents and my family for Christmas dinner. And to this very day, ravioli is still my favorite dish in the world. And though my grandmother has been gone for many years now, my mother still makes her ravioli, and it's still just as good as I remember it being as a child. So that second set of memories for me at Christmas of being with family, that's one of the memories that I treasure the most. And the third F for me for Christmas memories is the element of faith. And I had one of the most profound Christmases ever when I was in Belgium studying to become a priest, and that was back in the mid-'80s. And I remember going away for Christmas in the seminary and being far from home and missing my family, missing Tennessee, missing the United States. And I know this year with the pandemic, people are missing a lot of things. But I was feeling very different and thinking this is not going to be like the Christmases that I remember as a child. And we were staying in this little village in Switzerland, of all places, my classmates and I. And we decided to go to midnight mass. And so it was dark and cold. And we left our hotel behind and we walked up the hill to the little Catholic church on top of the hill. And we walked in the doors, and it was kind of an old-fashioned community. So a lot of the children were seated near the front, and men on one side, women on the other. But we found our pew and sat down. And we sat down in that little church for midnight mass. And the first notes of the organ began to play, and it was the hymn Silent Night, and they began to sing it in German. And I'll never forget when the priest made the sign of the cross, even though it was not my mother tongue, I knew that I was home. So there's something about Christmas that transcends country, family, nation, And wherever we are in this world, this Christmas, celebrating the birth of Jesus, it's all about the faith that we share together, believing that Jesus became human for us. And whatever way we can celebrate that is a gift this year. And so those memories of Christmas I'll never forget. The fun of being a kid, the memories of family, sharing ravioli, and that special Christmas when I felt far from home and I walked into a church and I knew I was home, even in that distant place, when I heard that first note of Silent Night in that church that night at midnight. Hope all of you have a very Merry Christmas this year, and may the joy of the Lord who became human for us touch your hearts this year.